Have you ever wondered why the sky can be so calm one moment and so dangerous the next? Good day, learners of informatics. I am 𝗥𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗀 along with my group members. Today, let's talk about something important for us here in the Philippines: hydrometeorological hazards. In these lessons, we aim to achieve the following objectives. Did you know the word hydrometeorological comes from two parts? Hydro refers to water, and meteorological, which means the study of weather. Therefore, hydrometeorological is about the interaction between water and weather, like when heavy rains causes floods or when a typhoon brings strong winds and storm surges. These hazards can have serious impacts, which is why it is very important to be aware of them and their different types. Understanding them better helps us reduce their effects and prepare to protect ourselves. We will focus on common hydrometeorological hazards experienced in the Philippines. To begin with the types, let's start with typhoon. What exactly is a typhoon? What are the signs that it's coming? And most importantly, how can we prepare ourselves and our loved ones to stay safe? Typhoons are violent tropical cyclones that form over warm waters in the western Pacific Ocean. They contain winds rotating counterclockwise with a speed of 180 to 220 km per hour. They can also develop into super typhoons, with a wind speed exceeds 220 km per hour. Typhoon can bring about severe flooding, landslide, and the destruction of homes, roads, and infrastructure. How do we know when a typhoon is approaching?
Here are some common signs that might indicate: rising swells, which occur when ocean waves being to hit the shore every 10 seconds or faster through the strong winds. The air pressure start to drop, which make the air feel different. The sky become really dark, with thick clouds usually accompanied by the rain. You might notice the wind suddenly changing, getting stronger or wild.
Now that we know what typhoon is and how to identify the signs, how can we prepare to survive and stay safe? Here are some helpful tips. Listen to warnings and updates from Pag-asa. Always stay tuned to official updates from TV, radio, or social media about the approaching typhoon. Ensure your house is safe. Check if your house is sturdy enough to withstand strong winds. Prepare an emergency kit. Make sure you have an emergency kit ready with essentials such as flashlights, batteries, a first aid kit, food and water for several days, and any necessary medications. No evacuation centers. Familiarize yourself with the nearest evacuation centers in case you need to evacuate to a safer location. Help your neighbors. Preparation isn't just about taking care of yourself, but also helping your neighbors work together and share resources when needed.
To help us understand better, let's look at an example from Kuya Kim's and his coverage of a typhoon. According to the reports, the typhoon caused massive flooding, and the many people were affected. Thanks to the Pag-asa's warning, some residents are able to evacuate in time, but others who are unprepared face great difficulty. If everyone had properly prepared, the impact of the storm could have been less severe. This is why it's so important to take time to prepare and listen to the warnings. I hope now you have a clear understanding how to minimize the impact of typhoons. Don't forget, our safety relies on our preparedness. Let's always stay alert. And remember, it's better to be prepared than caught off guard.
Do you remember doing this as a child, hearing a loud kaboom that made you cover your ears? That's a thunderstorm, also known as an electrical storm. A thunderstorm happens when a warm, moist air rises quickly into the sky. As the air goes up, it cools and forms those dark, huge clouds called cumulonimbus clouds. These clouds can grow very tall, sometimes reaching the stratosphere, where lightning and thunder are generated. Thunderstorms bring different types of weather, such as lightning and thunder, and heavy rain and strong, wild winds.
The thunder you hear, that's the sound of air expanding rapidly around the lightning bolt. In addition to the familiar thunder and lightning, thunderstorm may also produce hail, tornadoes, and flash floods, depending on their strength. These storms usually form in a late afternoon or evening when the air is warmest. Have you ever looked up at the sky and thought, mukhang umuulan na to? You're probably noticing the signs of an approaching thunderstorm. Here's how to spot one. The sky turns dark. Big, gray clouds suddenly appear, looking like they could swallow the sky. This might be forming into thunderstorm clouds. Lightning and thunder. Flashes of lightning, followed by the thunder, can sometimes be seen even before the rain starts. Shifting winds. The air suddenly feels cooler, and the wind changes direction out of nowhere.
To stay safe during a thunderstorm, postpone your outdoor activity and stay indoor. Don't stay in open field or near trees, as this increases your risk of being struck by lightning. Unplug gadget and avoid using it during a thunderstorm. Some people ignore this warning and continue their activities during a storm, thinking, kaya na! But remember, this is a no joke. Lightning is unpredictable and it can be deadly.
In July 2022, Metro Manila experienced an especially intense thunderstorm that caused widespread disruptions. The storm brought heavy rain, leading to flash floods in several areas, and strong winds that uprooted trees and damaged buildings. The downpour overwhelmed drainage system, causing traffic congestion and flooding in low-lying areas. The lightning strikes were frequent and powerful, leaving many parts of the city without electricity for hours. This storm, which lasted for just about an hour, highlighted how quickly conditions can change and the importance of being prepared and staying safe during thunderstorm. The aftermath saw emergency responders working hard to clear roads while the community had to cope with the disruptions and damage left behind.
Try to imagine heavy rain, and within hours, the water levels rise high enough to destroy houses, cause roads to collapse, and take down trees, and possibly take away human lives. This is what we call a flash flood. A flood that happens within less than 6 hours of excessive rainfall. For example, during Tropical Storm Christine in October 2024, flash floods affected 11 out of 23 towns and cities in Cavite. The province was placed in a disaster situation because of the massive flooding.
The sign of flash floods that you need to look out are when water level rise quickly, floating object in the water, and loud roaring sound towards the higher side of a water stream. You might be thinking, how do I know if water level is moving fast? If the water level rises rapidly due to heavy rain, that's your clue. Flash floods can develop quickly, sometimes in just minutes, other times in a few hours. If you notice these signs, you should immediately prepare your food supplies and bag. If you live in flood-prone areas, seek shelter and evacuate as soon as possible if you feel unsafe in your home or area. Stay alert, as flash floods are extremely dangerous and should not be taken lightly.
Fun fact, did you know that the word flash and flash flood doesn't just mean it's fast? It means it happens suddenly or unexpectedly, out of nowhere. The powerful currents can move faster than race cars and are as strong as being pushed by 1,000 people. After the flash comes the flood, which is powerful enough to carry away trees and even vehicles. And if you are experiencing this disaster, you need to remember this for you to survive. Make sure you are in a safe place, find safety and move to higher grounds, find safe shelter right away, and finally, avoid all floodwaters if you can.
A storm surge, also known as Daluyong ng Bagyo in the Philippines, happens when the sea level rises unusually high during a typhoon. This can cause serious flooding in areas near the coast. Imagine a giant wave, but much slower and more powerful. Storm surges are caused by strong winds from typhoons pushing seawater onto land. Low air pressure from the storm also makes the water rise higher than usual. When these two combine, it can cause severe flooding that can destroy homes, wash away roads, and even lead to loss of life. People who live near the coast are most at risk. It's important to understand the risk and be ready to act.
One example of this is when Super Typhoon Haiyan entered the Philippine area of responsibility on November 7, 2013, causing tremendous damage to infrastructure and loss of life, mainly due to storm surge and strong winds. Storm surge up to a height of 7 meters were reported in the hardest hit areas. Storm surge warnings help people understand how dangerous and flooding might be. In the Philippines, the government uses a system of signal warnings to help us understand the severity of storm and prepare accordingly. Here's a quick guide. Signal number 1. This means a light to moderate damage is possible in the coastal areas. Signal number 2. Expect moderate to heavy damage, especially in the coastal areas. Signal number 3. There's a high risk of severe damage, especially in the coastal areas. Signal number 4. This signals very destructive winds, with serious damage to buildings, trees, and power lines. Then lastly, signal number 5. This is an extremely dangerous situation, and widespread damage is likely.
Here are the things to do to protect yourself and your family. First, evacuate early. If authorities tell you to evacuate, don't wait. Leave immediately. Second, have an emergency kit. Pack essentials like water, food, medicines, and flashlights. Know safe routes. Make sure you know where to go and how to get there safely. Lastly, remember, preparation can save lives. Storm surges may sound scary, but with the right knowledge and preparation, we can stay safe.
Heavy rainfall, storm surges, and overflowing rivers can all lead to flooding, one of the most common and costly natural disasters. This report examines the causes and consequences of flooding, as well as strategies for mitigation and preparedness. A flood is when water gets too high and goes over the sides of a river or stream onto land that is usually dry. Floods can be very good or very bad for people's lives. How to survive. So before flood, first, stay informed about weather reports. Second, prepare an emergency kit. Third, know evacuation routes. During the flood, evacuate immediately if ordered. Second, move to higher ground. Third, avoid walking or driving through the flood waters. After the flood, wait for the official clearance to return home. Second, be cautious of hazard like falling power lines. Third, check for structural damage before entering your home. Remember, preparation and caution are key to surviving a flood. Stay informed and be prepared and prioritize your safety.
El Niño, which translates the little boy in Spanish, refers to a complex weather phenomenon characterized by warming of sea surface temperatures in the eastern Pacific Ocean. This natural climate pattern has significant implications for global weather, leading for extreme events such as droughts, floods, and heat waves. El Niño events occur irregularly, typically every 2 to 7 years, and can have devastating effect on agriculture, water resources, and human settlements worldwide.
Essential tips on how to survive the heat. I'm your reporter, Kaingay, and let's get started. Stay calm and stay hydrated. Wear light clothes. Stay indoors during peak sun hours. Use fans or air conditioning efficiently.
Remember, staying cool and calm can help you survive the heat.
Farmers and fishers are worried their production and profit will fall once the El Nino hits. Pag-asa says the lack of rainfall would be felt beginning in June and may last until early 2024.
Pag nagkaroon ng El Nino, tagtuyo, hindi mag-aani ang mga magsasaka at magdi-decrease ang produksyon.
Nakakatakot at nakakaba talaga yung kapag mayroong ganitong announcement o ganitong alert, no, ng ating gobyerno na mayroon na pag-asa na mayroon namang El Nino.
La Nina is a climate pattern that occurs in the Pacific Ocean. It's the opposite of El Nino, and it's identified as a cooler than average temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean.
For example, this was one of the more severe events in the Philippines. 2011, the people experienced rain that covered most of the region in the country, particularly in Mindanao, which led to landslides and too much flooding that caused so much trouble to so many people in its regions.
Ways to know if a La Nina disaster is about to happen in your area. Sea surface temperature. Sea surface temperatures in the tropical Pacific are cooler than average. Trade winds. Trade winds move east than normal. Upwelling. Cold water from the surface rises to the surface. Atmospheric pressure. Air pressure over the western Pacific is lower than normal. Last, cloudiness and rainfall. Cloudiness and rainfall increase over Indonesia, while cloudiness and rainfall decrease in the eastern tropical Pacific.
When experiencing La Nina conditions, focus on preparing for potential increased rainfall and flooding by monitoring weather forecasts, checking your drainage system, clearing gutters, securing your property with flood barriers, having emergency supplies readily and available, and developing a family evacuation plan if necessary.
In order to survive when this natural disaster happens, you should remember to postpone outdoor activities and avoid going outside and stay prepared and safe in your house. Don't touch object or material that electricity can climb on and hurt you.
Fun fact, did you know that La Nina events only happen every 3 to 5 years or so, but sometimes it does not follow its plan and might happen year after year, after year after year, and so on. But this crazy behavior is actually very rare, means it does not happen regularly.
Keeping an eye on the sky and predicting weather hazard is no easy task. Advanced tools are used to monitor and predict hydrometeorological hazards, helping us to stay prepared. Let's take a look at some of these tools. Barograph. This tool works by measuring atmospheric pressure. As pressure changes, the barograph records those shifts, giving us trends that helps predict shifts in the weather, like an incoming storm or a drop of temperature. Thermograph. It's always running, continuously recording temperature changes by using a special thermometer that tracks changes over time. It helps us stay on the top of any sudden temperature spikes or drops, giving us an early warning of heat waves or cold fronts. Weather surveillance radar. Think of this as the watchful eye of the sky. It sends out radio waves which bounce off cloud masses. The radar then analyzes how these waves return to track the movement of storm and even predict the path of typhoon with precision. Doppler radar. This one's really impressive. It measures the movement of the raindrops and the wind within storm. By using the Doppler effect, which analyzes how the waves shift when the bounce of moving object, it helps determine how fast precipitation moving, the storm's structure, and how intense it might get. Weather satellite. Up in the sky, these satellites use infrared and visible light sensor to capture wide-angle views of weather patterns. They send back details, images, and data from remote areas, even far off in the oceans, giving us a complete picture of the disturbances that could form into a larger storm. These tools helps us understand the weather better so we can act quickly when needed. Knowing the risk help us stay prepared, and staying informed means staying safe.
The Western Pacific Ocean is prone to one of the most destructive natural disasters, typhoons, characterized by intense winds, heavy rainfall, and storm surge. Typhoons pose a significant threat to communities in their path. This report aims to provide an overview of typhoons, their characteristics, and potential impacts, highlighting the importance of awareness and preparedness in mitigating their effects. Northern Luzon, southeastern Luzon, and eastern Visayas are the areas highly at risk to the occurrence of tropical derelictions, tropical storms, typhoons, and super typhoons. Northern Luzon is very high, southeastern Luzon is high, while medium is the eastern Visayas. The rest is low and very low. As Gregorio previously mentioned, here are some helpful tips to survive and stay safe during a typhoon. Stay updated with official warnings and advisories from Pag-asa through TV, radio, or social media. Ensure your house is secure and can withstand strong winds. Prepare an emergency kit with essentials like flashlights, batteries, first aid kits, food, water, and medications. Familiarize yourself with nearby evacuation centers. Help your neighbors and share resources when needed. Remember, preparation is key to staying safe during a typhoon. El Niño, which translates to the little boy in Spanish, refers to a complex weather phenomenon characterized by the warming of sea surface temperature in the eastern Pacific Ocean. This natural climate pattern has significant implications for global weather, leading to extreme events such as droughts, floods, and heat waves. Areas highly at risk to El Niño-induced drought are Central Mindanao and West Mindanao. Central Mindanao is very high, while the West Mindanao is high. The rest are medium, low, and very low. El Niño survival tips. El Niño can bring severe droughts, floods, and storms. To stay safe, it's essential to be prepared. Here are some simple tips to help you survive El Niño. Before El Niño, prepare emergency plan. Stock up on food, water, and medicine. Secure home and outdoor items. During El Niño, stay informed. Avoid traveling during heavy rain. Use alternative cooking methods. Conserve water. After El Niño, wait for official clearance. Assess damage. Clean and disinfect. Stay safe.
In conclusion, hydrometeorological hazards such as typhoons, thunderstorms, floods, flash floods, storm surges, and climate change like El Niño and La Niña are powerful enough that can be very destructive disasters that is a result from the connection of two elements, the atmosphere and water. Keep in mind, these disasters can lead to so much destruction on towns, people, buildings, farms, and overall surroundings of the people that live in. That may be very hard to fix. However, if you are prepared with early warning systems and have the knowledge to make the right decisions, people and towns can lessen the risks that are given by these hazards. Correct and useful reactions with these disasters include understanding signals and the damages that each disasters do, having emergency plans ready and prepared, and staying informed through trusted weather forecasting, such as television news or radios. While these disasters will never go away. The ability to adapt, to plan, and respond to these disasters can possibly save lives, reduce damages, and ensure quicker recovery of the damaged surroundings. That would be all. Thank you.